Hello, friend. I'm John Carter. Welcome today to the Carter Report. Today we're talking about the little pastor, the story of a young man who was in the midst of one of the greatest bloodbaths in the history of that nation. Did you know 75,000 people were murdered in El Salvador? And this man, the little pastor, was right in the very midst of it all. Welcome today to the Carter Report. Hi, I'm John Carter. I guess the toughest place that I've ever been to as far as the preaching of the gospel is concerned is India, home to more than 1 billion souls, and I guess hundreds of millions of different gods. It almost overwhelms the senses. What can we do? Well, we've been to India, we've run outdoor meetings, we've had thousands and thousands of people, Hindus, Muslims, at our meetings coming forward in altar calls. But we're going to try to do something else as well. We're going to start small. We're starting with a program called Touching the Untouchables. And we're going to start with little untouchable girls. We're doing this now. We're getting them food because they're so hungry. Hard to come to Jesus when you're hungry. And so we're getting them food, and we'll be sending them to school. We're trying to feed their souls and fill their bellies. In India, home to more than 1 billion souls and hundreds of millions of gods controlled by evil spirits. Please help us in this work. Please help us. Write to me, John Carter, Post Office Box 1900, Thousand Oaks, California, 91358, or write to me at Terrigal in Australia. We have an Australian office, as we have an Indian office, with somebody there working full-time, trying to touch the untouchables with the love of Jesus. Please write to me today. And Jesus said, I've come to seek and to save that which was lost. Our guest today comes from El Salvador, a beautiful land with a terrible history of bloodshed. His name is Pastor Pacheco, the leader of the Adventist Church in that part of the world. Our translator is Pastor Carlos Acosta, the senior pastor of the Spanish American Adventist Church in Southern California. Welcome today, gentlemen, to the program.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Pastor.
Gracias.
Pastor Pacheco.
Gracias.
We're so glad that you were able to come to this part of the world from El Salvador and be part of our program.
Dice que hayas venido desde El Salvador y ser parte de nuestro programa.
Muchas gracias.
In one of our programs, the last program, you told us that they called you the little pastor.
En el último programa nos dijiste que te llamaban el pequeño pastor.
Because
Pastorcito.
as a boy of 10 years of age,
Como un niño, 10 años de edad,
you were out preaching the gospel.
tú andabas predicando el evangelio.
You were caught in a war between two awful factions.
Y estabas en medio de la guerra entre las dos facciones.
You saw some of your friends gunned down.
Viste a alguno de tus amigos, conocías que los
They were
asesinaron.
going to put you on a helicopter
Te iban a poner un helicóptero,
and take you to Nicaragua.
llevarte a Nicaragua
And then they were going to take you to Cuba.
y luego llevarte a Cuba.
And as a little boy of 14,
Y como un jovencito de 14
they were
años de
going
edad,
to train you as a freedom fighter.
te iban a entrenar como uno de los guerrilleros.
And as they were putting you on the helicopter,
Y antes de montarte el helicóptero,
the government soldiers came
los soldados del gobierno
and
vinieron
they fought the other militia.
y lucharon contra los otros
And you
militares.
saw some of your friends just fall
Y
in this
viste-
awful bloodbath.
Y viste el baño de sangre que hubo en ese momento.
But you believed
Pero tú crees,
that God had a purpose for your life.
creías que el Señor tiene un propósito para tu vida.
How did you become a pastor
¿Cómo es que tú llegaste a ser un
and the
pastor
leader of a worldwide church,
y
Pastor
líder
Pacheco?
de una iglesia que está a nivel mundial?
Sí, pastor, realmente en ese momento justamente sentimos la presencia de Dios.
At that moment when that bloodbath began, I felt God's presence.
No nos pasó nada, gracias a Dios.
Nothing happened to me and my other Adventist friends.
algunos de los compañeros que tenía en mi iglesia de esa edad
Some of my friends that I had from church at that same age,
decidieron venirse aquí a los Estados Unidos.
they decided to come here to the United States.
Yo no podía venirme.
I couldn't come.
No tenía dinero para venirme.
I had no money to come.
Así que tenía que hacerle frente a la situación allí en El Salvador.
So I had to face the situation there in El Salvador.
Pero yo sabía que Dios tenía un propósito para mi vida allí.
But I also knew that God had a purpose for my life there in El Salvador.
En mi mente siempre yo deseaba, anhelaba ser un pastor.
In my mind, I always wanted to be a pastor.
Y yo le pedía eso en mi corazón a Dios.
And I was always praying for that to the Lord.
And so some of your friends fled to the United States of
Así
America.
que algunos de tus amigos se vinieron para Estados Unidos.
Sí.
But you couldn't do this.
Pero tú no pudiste hacer esto. ¿Eh?
Sí.
And you were stuck in El Salvador.
Estabas ahí atorado en El Salvador.
How did you feel about this in your heart?
¿Cómo te sentías esto en tu corazón, estar ahí?
Bueno, no me angustié ni me afligí por no venirme
I
acá.
was not saddened by the fact that I could not travel or come to this country.
Yo dije, si Dios me llama para ser un ministro,
I said, if the Lord has a plan, He calls me to be a pastor,
tengo que hacerlo aquí en El Salvador.
I have to do it here in El Salvador.
Ayudar a mi iglesia, ayudar a mi gente.
I have to help my people, my own people, my church,
Y servir a Dios aquí en El Salvador.
and to serve the Lord here in El Salvador.
You had a calling inside that God wanted you to be a minister.
Tú tenías un llamado que Dios te iba a llamar para el
How
ministerio.
did you become a pastor? I mean, you were a pastor.
Ya eras un pastor.
How did you become a grown-up pastor?
¿Cómo llegaste a ser el pastor ya adulto?
Bueno, justamente mi madre y mi padre,
My mom and my dad,
ellos nunca pensaron
they never thought
que yo iba a llegar a ser un pastor.
that I was going to become a pastor.
They never thought you were going to be a pastor.
¿Nunca pensaron eso?
No.
But weren't your parents God-fearing, really good people?
¿No eran ellos pues amantes de Dios?
Sí, pero el pastor iba a ser un hermano mío.
The pastor was going to be my other brother.
No era yo.
Not
How
me.
many brothers and sisters?
¿Cuántos hermanos, hermanas tienes?
Éramos en ese tiempo, 10 hermanos más conmigo.
We're 10 in total.
That's a great family.
Es una familia grande.
Yeah, that's a little kingdom.
Es un pequeño reino.
Nada más que para ese tiempo
But
ya
for that time-
habían muerto 6 hermanos míos ya.
6 of my brothers had already died.
Oh,
Sí. No fue en la guerra porque no los mataron.
It was not through the war because they didn't get killed like that. Or
Fue muerte natural.
it was just a lot of natural death.
Eran mis hermanos mayores.
6
They were my older brothers. 6
out of 10.
6 de 10.
Sí, el último hermano,
The last brother
que era lo que todos pensamos que iba a ser el pastor,
that all of us thought that who was going to be the pastor,
se llamaba David.
his name was David.
Era el mejor hermano.
He was the best brother.
Predicaba más que yo.
He was preaching even more than I was preaching.
Él tenía 8 años de edad.
He was 8 years old.
¿Ya?
8 years old.
Sí.
You started when you were 10.
Tú comenzaste a los 10, él a los 8.
Sí, correcto.
What kept you from getting on with it?
¿Y qué te detuvo?
He was 8 when he was preaching.
Era 8 años de edad cuando él
Sí,
estaba predicando.
sí, porque yo era más tímido.
I was more shy.
Sí,
And his name was David.
sí.
Su nombre era David.
Now, where is
David.
David? Where is David
¿Y
today?
dónde está David hoy en día?
Ok, David a los 8 años
At 8 years old, David,
le dio una enfermedad
he got ill.
llamada leucemia, cáncer en la sangre.
He had cancer in the blood,
Oh, leukemia.
leukemia.
Yes.
What a story this is.
Entonces, con él hablábamos, conversábamos.
So with him, we would talk, we would have conversations.
Yo le llevaba un año a él.
I was 1 year older than he was.
Él no le tenía miedo a la predicación.
He was not afraid of preaching the gospel.
Se paraba en los buses a predicar.
He would be on the buses preaching.
And so he had a fire in his soul.
Tenía fuego en su
Oh, sí.
ser.
And he knew the Bible.
Sí.
Y sabía la Biblia.
Él no podía leer.
He could not read.
He could not read.
No podía leer. Se aprendían los versículos de memoria.
He would memorize the Bible text.
Y así predicaba él.
And that is the way that he would preach.
Sí. Y entonces eso me impresionó tanto a mí
And that impressed me so much
que yo dije, yo quiero ser como mi hermano.
that I said, I want to be like David, like my little brother.
I want to say something to the audience.
Quiero decir algo a la
I
audiencia.
want to say
ahora.
something to the people. We hear a lot today about the death of Christianity. I want to tell you something. You can't kill Christianity because it is built upon a living Christ. So here in El Salvador, You've got terrible bloodshed, you've got persecution, you've got natural disasters, earthquakes, hurricanes and famines and even volcanoes. And then you've got a tremendous war going on, but you've still got people who are preaching the word. Tell him what I said.
El pastor dice que el cristianismo no lo pueden matar porque está basado en una persona que ha ganado la muerte, que es Cristo Jesús.
Así es.
So where is David now?
¿Y dónde está ahora David?
Bueno, cuando yo tenía 10 años,
When I was 10 years old,
mi hermano tenía 9 años, yo le llevaba un año a
he
él.
was 9 years old. I was
Yes.
a year older.
Recuerdo que ya no podían hacer más en el hospital por él.
I remember that there was nothing more they could do at the hospital for him.
Mis padres lo sacaron del hospital.
My parents, they withdrew him from the hospital.
Y él dijo algo importante.
And he said something very, very important.
Le dijo a mi mamá y a mi padre,
He told my mom and my dad,
yo no quiero morir en el hospital.
I do not want to die in the hospital.
Dios me ha dicho que voy a morir,
God has told me that I'm going to die,
pero yo quiero morir en mi casa.
but I want to die at home.
Entonces lo sacaron,
So they took him out of the hospital.
nos reunimos todos los hermanos y mi padre con
We
él.
all gather around him in the bed.
Después él le pidió a toda la familia que se salieran del cuarto
And then he said to everyone, all of us, to leave the room.
y me pidió que yo me quedara con él.
And he told me to stay, only me.
Fue entonces cuando él me dijo, hermano,
That's when he then started telling me, brother,
tú vas a ser el pastor, no yo.
you're going to be the pastor, not
Glory
me.
be to God.
Yo voy a morir.
I'm going to die.
Y yo comencé a llorar.
And I began to cry.
Comencé a llorar y a decirle, hermano, no puedes morir. Dios te ama tanto.
I began to say, you can't die. He loves you so much.
Tú eres un ángel acá. Tú tienes que ser el pastor.
You're an angel here. You need to be the pastor.
No yo no merezco ser un ministro. Yo no merezco ser un pastor.
Not me.
No puedo hacer eso.
I can't do that.
Y entonces él me dijo, tú vas a ser el pastor.
So he said, you are going to be the pastor.
Llamó a mis padres,
Then my parents were
a
called
mis
back
demás
in,
hermanos,
my brothers and sisters.
y estando con él,
As we were there gathered with him,
comenzó a cantar un canto, un coro.
he began to sing a hymn.
Solo el poder de Dios puede cambiar tu ser.
And he began to sing with the lyrics that says, only the power of God can change your life.
Las pruebas yo te doy, Él me ha cambiado a mí.
The evidence I give to you, he has changed me.
¿No ves que soy feliz?
Don't you see that I am happy?
Siguiendo al Señor.
Following the Lord Jesus.
Cerró los ojos y murió.
He closed his eyes and he died.
A los 9 años mi hermano murió, yo tenía 10 años de edad.
He died at 9 years old, and I was 10 years old at the time.
Desde ese momento,
At that time, that moment,
Dios me dijo a mí algo en mi mente.
God told me in my mind,
Lo que tu hermano no logró,
what your brother could not reach,
tú lo vas a lograr
you're going to do it,
y vas a predicar.
and you're going to preach.
Y mi madre, desde ese día que mi hermano murió,
And my mother, since that day that my brother died,
comenzó a ayunar
she began to fast
todos los sábados
every Sabbath
para soportar la pérdida del 6º hijo.
because she was in a lot of pain that this was her 6th son that now had died.
Y comencé yo a sentir eso en mi ser
And I began to feel that in my soul.
y a decirle, Señor, ayúdame a lograr a ser un ministro, porque yo anhelo ver a mi hermano, abrazarlo y decirle, lo logré por la gracia de
I
Dios.
pray that the Lord will give me the strength to become that pastor.
You're going to see him again.
Lo vas a ver otra vez.
Amén.
pastor.
You're going to see him when Jesus comes.
Lo vas a ver cuando venga
And he's going to
Jesús.
be your brother again.
Y va a ser tu hermano.
And
otra
he'll
vez.
never get cancer.
Y nunca más va a tener
And he'll
cáncer.
never die.
Y nunca más va a
Because
morir.
we believe that the Lord is coming.
Porque creemos que Jesús viene pronto.
Amén.
And we'll be back after this message. Stay with us. God has his time and his place for everything. And the time and the place now is Latin America, including Cuba. Time magazine talks about the Second Protestant Reformation and describes how hundreds of thousands, even millions of Latinos are coming to the gospel of Christ. I'm not an armchair theologian. I'm speaking according to experience. I've seen it with my own eyes. Recently, we went down to El Salvador. There I spoke in the largest football stadium in Central America with the biggest crowd that football stadium had ever seen. They came not to see a football match, but to hear about the blood of Christ. Millions are coming to a knowledge of God in Latin America. Doors are opening in Cuba. Who knows? We may be going to Cuba soon. As the doors open, by the grace of God, we are going to step through those doors. And we want you to step through those doors with us and be part of our team for such a time as this. Please write to me, friend. Don't put it off. Write to me, John Carter, Post Office Box 1900, Thousand Oaks, California, 91358. In Australia, write to me at Terrigal, New South Wales. Be part of the Second Reformation. Join us and see the miracles of God. Amen. Welcome back. Pastor Pacheco, you were in charge of a huge evangelistic campaign that we ran in San Salvador,
Estabas tú al frente, pastor, de una gran campaña evangelística en San Salvador,
the capital of El Salvador.
la capital.
Así es.
I was amazed by the organization
Yo estaba sorprendido por la organización,
because I'd never seen anything as good in Australia or America.
porque nunca había visto algo tan bueno en Australia ni en América.
We hired the largest football stadium in Central America.
Empleamos el estadio más grande de Centroamérica.
But this was preceded by a number of evangelistic campaigns right around the nation.
Pero esto fue precedido por las campañas antes de llegar allí.
Now tell me about those campaigns.
Cuéntame de esas campañas.
Sí, pastor. Realmente quisiera agradecer al Ministerio Carter
I would like to extend my appreciation to the Carter Report
por la bendición que nos dio
for the blessing that you gave us
de haber tenido ese programa maravilloso.
to hold those meetings there at the stadium.
Thank you.
Cuando hablamos con ustedes,
When we spoke with you,
comenzamos a orar por esto.
we began to pray for this.
Toda la hermandad en todo El Salvador orando, pidiéndole a Dios
All the brotherhood, they began to pray for this
para que Dios se manifestara poderosamente.
so that God would manifest himself powerfully.
Jamás en la vida, jamás,
I had never thought in my life,
desde que yo nací y que tengo historia, tengo mente,
since I was there and since I grew up and remember,
nunca habíamos tenido un evento como ese.
we had never had an event just like that.
Teníamos miedo.
We were afraid.
La hermandad estaba sorprendida. ¿Qué vamos a hacer?
The brotherhood was very scared and worried.
Pensábamos que era una campaña pequeñita,
We thought it was just going to be a small campaign.
pero comenzamos con todos los presidentes, administradores, pastores, líderes, ancianos, hermanos, a orarle, a pedirle al Señor.
And all from the presidents of the field to the brothers of the church, we began to pray.
Y entonces nos reunimos varios meses
We began meetings of many months before
para hacer planes especiales.
so that we could create specific plans.
Una comisión muy especial,
There was a special committee made,
dirigida por hermanos voluntarios,
and many of them were volunteer brothers,
ancianos, líderes.
elders.
And also, this was the best organization I'd seen anywhere in the world.
Esta es la mejor organización que yo he visto en cualquier parte del mundo.
How many pre-campaign meetings were there?
¿Cuántas campañas previas?
Evangelistic meetings.
¿Cuántas campañas tuvieron antes de llegar al estadio?
Hicimos 96 campañas.
We made 96 evangelism meetings.
I want you to hear this, 96 evangelistic meetings.
96.
96 campañas donde trajimos pastores invitados de Guatemala, de Nicaragua, de Honduras, para venir 96 pastores uniéndose a los 96 pastores que había en El Salvador.
96 evangelists from Central America came
Amazing.
to come and to unite themselves with the 96 pastors that we have there in El Salvador.
Entonces, una semana antes de que comenzara la gran campaña en el estadio,
And a week before the big evangelistic meeting at the stadium,
Los hermanos, los pastores,
The brothers and the pastors,
dieron sus casas,
they gave their homes.
dieron sus comida,
They opened the doors to give their food.
dieron
Yes.
parte de sus carros
And they gave their cars.
y comenzamos a predicar la palabra
And
de
we
Dios.
began to preach the word of God.
Yo sentí en ese momento como que era el Pentecostés.
I felt at that moment that Pentecost had arrived.
¿Sí? Toda la iglesia estaba unida.
All the churches were united.
All the churches united.
Todas las iglesias unidas.
About 180 pastors.
180 pastores.
Under God, you were the leader.
Y tú eras el líder de ellos.
I congratulate you
Yo te felicito a ti
because I
también,
could see God working through you.
porque yo pude ver a Dios trabajar.
The
a través de ti.
organization was the best I've seen anywhere in the
La
world.
organización la mejor que he visto en cualquier parte
How
del
many
mundo.
buses did you hire?
¿Cuántos autobuses empleaste, pastor?
Bueno, eso fue también la otra cosa sorprendente de
That was
esto.
another amazing thing that happened.
Tal vez nosotros pensábamos que iban a llegar unos 200, 250 buses.
We thought there was going to be 200, 250 buses that would
That's a lot
arrive.
of buses, 200 buses.
Esos ya son muchos, pastor.
Sí, pero llegaron 750 buses.
But we had 750 buses arrive.
Just here, there's 750 buses.
Sí. Además de los carros, de los camiones, de los vehículos, microbuses que los hermanos prestaban.
And that was not even counting all the buses, the pickup trucks, and the mini buses that
The
people
mini
just gave.
buses.
Yes.
That wasn't the mini buses.
Y esos no eran los pequeñitos
All the
microbuses.
cars.
No, eran buses grandísimos.
But 700, how many?
750, 750.
750 buses.
750.
Now, when the buses came, now I'd never seen so many buses.
Yo nunca había visto tantos autobuses.
Ni yo tampoco. Ni yo tampoco.
And you were the organizer of this with the rest of the presidents.
Y tú eras el organizador con el resto de los presidentes.
And the people came from all across El
Y
Salvador.
la gente vino a través de todo El Salvador.
Tens of thousands.
Miles y miles.
And the meeting started on time.
Y la reunión comenzó a tiempo, la campaña.
And we had great music.
Y teníamos tremenda música.
And the meetings finished on time.
Y las reuniones terminaban a
And
tiempo.
we saw in one day around 5,000 souls
Y
baptized.
vimos 5,000 almas un día bautizarse.
Now, people tell me in this part of the world,
Me dicen que en esta parte del mundo
and in Australia,
y en Australia
and in Europe,
y que en Europa
they say it can't be done.
eso no se puede hacer.
And the
dicen.
reason they say that
Y la razón que dicen
is
eso
because they don't have
es
faith
porque no tienen fe,
and they don't have obedience.
no obedecen tampoco.
And it seems to me
Y me parece
they
a
don't
mí
really believe the words of the Bible.
realmente no creen la palabra de Dios.
Now, tell me about the people coming to the meetings.
Dime de las personas específicamente que venían a las reuniones evangelísticas esta grande.
Bueno, pastor, a mí me impresionó mucho, especialmente, digamos, de los buses que usted mencionó.
I was very impressed specifically about the buses that you mentioned.
Aún la misma policía
Even the policemen.
dijo cómo van a ubicar los buses.
How are you going to place the buses?
I know.
Pero Dios obró poderosamente.
But the Lord opened powerfully these situations.
Habían iglesias completas
They were complete churches
que venían viajando casi un día completo
that they would travel a whole day
para llegar a la campaña.
to come to the evangelistic meeting.
Salían a las 3 de la madrugada,
They would leave at 3 a.m.
¿ya? Y llegaban a las 4 de la tarde
and they would arrive at 4 p.m.
para llegar, agarrar los buenos asientos.
to get the good seats.
Venían con sus banderitas,
They would come with their little flags,
Yes.
con su líder de grupo pequeño,
with their small group leader,
con sus ancianos,
with the church elders,
bien ordenaditos,
very, very well
y
organized,
con una lista de los amigos que estaban
and
llevando.
with the list of the people, friends that they were bringing.
Yes.
Ningún bus.
The best organization ever.
La mejor organización que yo he visto.
Everybody knew where he was to sit.
Todos sabían dónde se tenían que sentar.
And we
Sí.
had more than 50,000 people in the
Y
stadium.
teníamos más de 50,000 personas en
Oh,
el
sí,
estadio.
claro que sí.
Yes, sir.
Glory be to
Yes.
God.
Sí. Gloria a
Y,
Dios.
y, pastor, realmente nunca en la vida se había llenado ese estadio.
That stadium had never been filled before.
Tell me about the baptisms. Before you talk about the baptisms, I want to say to the audience,
Yo quiero decirle a la audiencia,
the Carter Report was privileged to pay for all these preliminary meetings, the hire of the stadium, but our partners were the people in El Salvador.
Dice que fueron los socios que ayudaron.
These people put up hundreds of thousands.
Pusieron miles de dólares.
And our donors sent us hundreds of
Y
thousands.
nuestros donantes enviaron miles
And
de
we
dólares.
saw another Pentecost.
Y vimos otro
So
Pentecostés.
thank you.
Así que gracias, pastor.
You thanked me for coming.
Tú me agradeciste a mí por venir,
It was my privilege.
pero fue mi
It
privilegio.
was my honor.
Fue mi honor.
I got the blessing.
Yo recibí la
Now
bendición.
tell us about the baptisms.
Dinos de los bautismos.
Sí, pastor, realmente fue una celebración
It
extraordinaria.
was a great celebration.
Aún yo visito las iglesias
Now, I'm still visiting churches,
y hace poco estuve en una campaña
and recently I had an evangelistic meeting,
y como a 2 horas y media de la capital
2.5 hours from the capital,
y se me acercaron varios hermanos
and many brothers approached me.
y me dijeron, pastor,
They said, Pastor,
yo me bauticé en el estadio,
I got baptized at the stadium.
yo soy miembro de la
I
iglesia
am a member now of the church.
y no podemos olvidar ese momento que la iglesia de Dios es grande y Dios hizo milagros en ese
We
lugar.
cannot forget that wonderful feeling and that moment that we experienced at the stadium.
Pastor Pacheco, not all church leaders do evangelism.
No todos los líderes, Pastor Pacheco, hacen
They,
evangelismo.
they talk about evangelism.
Hablan de
They
evangelismo,
believe in evangelism.
creen en evangelismo,
But they're more comfortable behind a desk.
pero están más confortables detrás de un púlpito.
Do you do evangelism?
¿Tú haces evangelismo, Pastor?
Sí, claro.
Yes,
En mi unión yo realizo 3 campañas en el año.
In the Salvadorian Union, I personally have 3 evangelistic meetings,
3 meetings.
3
3
campañas.
evangelistic
Sí,
campaigns.
evangelistic
sí,
campaigns.
grandes.
Big evangelistic
Big
campaigns.
campaigns.
Hace una semana yo terminé 2 semanas terminé una campaña
2 weeks ago, I finished another evangelistic meeting.
I'm so proud of you.
donde lógicamente para mí el evangelismo es la pasión, es el vivir, es Cristo Jesús.
Evangelism is a passion, it's a way of living. It's Jesus Christ.
Si no lo hago, yo me muero.
It's the lifeblood of the church.
Es la vida de la iglesia, la
When the
sangre.
church does it, God blesses the church.
Donde la iglesia lo hace, Dios
And
la
when the
bendice.
church doesn't do it,
La iglesia adventista
the
no lo
church
hace.
dies out.
Si no lo hace, la iglesia muere.
And so we are privileged to know you,
Estamos privilegiados de conocerte,
know you both,
de conocerlos a ambos.
because we believe in the Bible,
Creemos en la
we
Biblia,
believe in Christ,
creemos en Cristo,
we believe in the atoning
creemos
sacrifice,
en el sacrificio
we believe in
expiatorio
the coming of the
y
Lord,
en la segunda venida
and
de
that's
Jesús.
why we do
Por
evangelism.
eso hacemos evangelismo, pastor.
Now, what are your plans for the future?
¿Cuáles son los planes para el futuro?
Bueno, pastor, definitivamente en este año especialmente
This year, pastor,
estamos con los pastores.
we are with the pastors of my union.
Queremos plantar en un año
We want to plant in 1 year
100 iglesias.
100 churches.
100 churches.
Sí, 100 iglesias.
And you will.
Sí.
Y lo va a hacer.
En noviembre, primero Dios.
In November, Lord willing.
Estamos orando,
We're praying.
estamos pidiéndole al Señor
We're asking the Lord.
y con el proyecto del Ministerio Carter,
And with the ministry of the Carter Report,
nuestros hermanos han quedado más encendidos
our brothers are now more on fire.
porque hay un semillero tremendo
Because now there's a lot of seeds
que la gente está saliendo
that were planted, and now people are coming
y les
forth.
estamos llevando a los pies de Cristo
And now we're
Jesús.
taking them to the feet
Let
of
me give
Jesus
you a
Christ.
secret.
Un secreto.
We left our hearts down
Dejamos nuestro corazón.
We'd
ahí.
like to go back one day.
Quisiéramos regresar otra vez.
And thank you for being leaders in God's work.
Gracias por ser
And
líderes en la
thank
obra
you
de
for your
Dios.
passion for Christ.
Gracias por la pasión
And
que
thank
tienen
you
en
for
Cristo.
being our guests today.
Y por ser nuestros invitados.
So, my friend, what do you think about that? Write to me, John Carter, Post Office Box 1900, Thousand Oaks, California, 91358. Write to me in Australia. Remember, evangelism is the lifeblood of the church. Support evangelism. Help us to preach Christ to the world. Thank you, and God bless you.